Before we start, it's a good idea to go to bed and relax. I also want to ask you to subscribe to my channel, like it and write in the comments where you are from and what time it is. Using the link in the description you can support me. Thank you. Sweet dreams. Have you ever wondered what it truly takes to survive a day with the samurai during Japan's chaotic Sengoku period? Imagine being woken before dawn, handed a razor-sharp katana, and ordered to train until your arms burn and your blood drips. Even the strongest men often found themselves cut, bruised, or broken before breakfast. This is the brutal reality you are about to witness, a world where honor is earned with sweat and pain, and weakness is punished mercilessly. In this story, you will experience the daily life, trials, and horrors of living among warriors whose very existence revolved around combat, discipline, and survival. The first thing you notice is the darkness. Absolute, suffocating darkness, broken only by the faint glow of lanterns swaying outside the wooden walls of the dojo. The cold seeps into your bones, chilling every inch of your body. A rooster crows somewhere far away, but it is drowned by the harsh clanging of armor, the scuff of sandals on wooden floors, and the low murmurs of warriors waking for another day in the Sengoku chaos. You quickly realize, this is not a world for the faint of heart. This is a world where even the strongest stumble, bleed, and sometimes die before the sun fully rises. A sharp, commanding voice cuts through the silence. Get up. The words are not a suggestion, they are a decree. Those who hesitate are met with the cold glare of their seniors, or worse, the sting of a bamboo rod across their shoulders. You push yourself off the straw mat, your body stiff from the night's meager rest. Every muscle protests, but the fear in your chest is stronger than the pain. Outside, the other warriors are already moving, some sharpening their swords, others performing stretches that seem impossible for a human body at this hour. You are handed a katana, lighter than it looks, but razor-sharp and capable of cutting flesh with frightening ease. The wood of the handle is smooth under your fingers, but the weight feels unnatural, like it's demanding obedience. A senior samurai approaches, eyes narrowing as he assesses you. One slip, one hesitation, and you will feel the consequences immediately. The other new recruits, like you, trembling and wide-eyed, look equally terrified. You can see the faint streaks of blood from previous mornings on their arms and legs, proof that even today's strongest were not immune. The first training begins with basic strikes, yet every motion must be perfect. The room fills with the metallic hiss of blades slicing through air, the grunt of exertion, and the occasional sharp cry when someone misjudges a swing. Your arms ache within minutes. Sweat drips down your forehead, blurring your vision, mixing with the dust and splinters of the wooden floor. Already, a nick on your forearm begins to throb, a warning that mistakes are punished without mercy. You try to focus, to remember the lessons drilled into your memory by the few moments of instruction you were given, but the pace is relentless. The dojo is a crucible. You are surrounded by warriors whose bodies are honed like weapons themselves, movements fluid and precise, and your every failure is magnified by their presence. A senior samurai steps behind you, correcting your stance with a forceful push. Pain shoots through your back. Do it again, he commands. And you do. Again and again. Each repetition digs deeper into your exhaustion, yet even as you falter, you learn. The samurai do not spare weakness, they extract lessons from it, often leaving behind blood as proof. Outside, the sun has not yet risen, but already the day has begun. You hear the distant sounds of a village stirring, unaware of the warriors training to perfection within its walls. You glance around, noticing the determined expressions, the hardened faces, and the scars that speak of battles past. In this room, the concept of mercy is foreign. Survival is a matter of skill, endurance, and nerve. Even a single misstep could mark the end of your journey before breakfast. As the first light begins to creep through the paper windows, you realize the full magnitude of what you've stepped into. This is not a game. There are no spectators here, no cheering crowds. This is a life of discipline and danger, where the weak are quickly culled, and the strong are pushed beyond human limits. Every sinew of your body screams for rest, but your mind knows it cannot stop. You are a newcomer among men forged by centuries of conflict, and already, you understand, you would not last a day here. Yet somehow, despite the fear, the pain, and the relentless pace, something inside you refuses to surrender. Perhaps it is curiosity. Perhaps it is pride. Or perhaps it is sheer stubbornness. Whatever it is, it drives you to raise the katana once more, to grip it tightly as the senior samurai signals for the next round. Your hands shake. Your arms burn. But still, you prepare to face the dawn again, knowing that today, and every day hereafter, will demand more than your body, or even your mind, might be willing to give. The day has begun. And already, the first blood has been shed. The first strike is never easy. You thought the morning drills were harsh, but nothing could prepare you for the moment when the katana leaves your hands in earnest, aiming not at a practiced dummy, but at a living, breathing opponent. The senior samurai calls out, and the room erupts into motion, blades flashing, footsteps pounding, and the low murmur of controlled breathing. You feel the weight of your weapon like a lead anchor in your hands. Your first instinct is hesitation, but hesitation here is dangerous. Your sparring partner, a wiry samurai with eyes like sharpened steel, moves with terrifying fluidity. He doesn't strike blindly, every motion is deliberate, calculated. You swing, attempting the form you've been drilled into repeating dozens of times, but he sidesteps, guiding your blade harmlessly aside with a swift flick of his own. The impact reverberates up your arms, making your muscles scream in protest. Already, you are off balance, your feet slipping on the polished wooden floor, sweat making the surface slick beneath your sandals. A miscalculated step, your left foot slides forward too quickly, throwing off your center of gravity. Your partner notices immediately, his katana pressing lightly against your shoulder. The point is precise, but you feel the potential sting of what could happen if he struck with full force. You flinch. A whisper of panic snakes through your chest. The senior samurai overseeing the session steps closer, eyes narrowing. One mistake, and he will correct you, with pain. He doesn't have to speak, the mere presence of authority is enough to tighten your chest and make your blood run cold. You try again. Swinging, blocking, stepping, but your motions are clumsy, hesitant. Every muscle aches, and every breath feels shallow. The wiry samurai moves effortlessly, his strikes coming faster now, each one a reminder that your inexperience makes you vulnerable. One small misstep, your wrist too low, your elbow out of alignment, and you feel the sting of the wooden sword against your forearm. Not enough to break skin, but enough to send a jolt through your body. Your palms are slick with sweat, the handle of your katana slippery, your mind screaming with fear and frustration. The room around you is chaos disguised as order. Samurai clash with one another, blades meeting in showers of sparks that are silent yet deadly. Every movement is precise, every strike measured. You are learning that the katana is not merely a weapon, it is an extension of the body, a language of motion and timing. Without mastery, it can just as easily become an instrument of self-harm. Already, you have learned that raw strength alone will not save you here. Speed, focus, and intuition are what separate life from injury. Suddenly, your opponent presses forward with a feint. You react too slowly, and the wooden edge grazes your shoulder. Pain flares, sharp and immediate, and a drop of blood trickles down your skin. Your breath catches. You stumble backward, trying to regain footing, but the senior samurai's sharp voice cuts through the din, "Do not hesitate. Commit or fall." The words are like fire in your chest, igniting a mix of fear and adrenaline. You tighten your grip and prepare for the next exchange, knowing that survival demands a level of focus your body is screaming against. For minutes that feel like hours, you fight. Each strike, block, and parry is a test. Every error is punished, every small victory fleeting. Your muscles burn, your mind reels, and yet there is a strange clarity in the chaos, a rhythm, a flow that you begin to glimpse between the flashes of steel. You are learning, painfully and slowly, that mistakes will come, but how you respond is what matters. One lapse in concentration here, and it could be more than a bruise. By the end of the session, your arms feel like lead. Your knuckles are raw from gripping the handle. Sweat drips from your forehead, stinging your eyes. And yet, there is a small spark of pride flickering within. You survived. Barely. But the first strike has been made, and the first lesson has been carved into muscle and bone. In the world of Sengoku samurai, hesitation is a luxury you cannot afford. You realize with chilling clarity that this is only the beginning. The day is still young, and the challenges ahead will be fiercer, more relentless. As you lay the katana down, chest heaving, you glance around at the other warriors. Some are bleeding, some are exhausted, and a few move with terrifying ease, untouched by the morning's chaos. You know now that surviving a day in this place is a matter of more than courage. It requires precision, resilience, and a willingness to embrace pain as a constant companion. And deep down, you understand, even the strongest newcomers will falter here, and you are far from being among the strongest. The first strike has been made. The first blood has been felt. And yet, somehow, the day marches on. The morning light has barely touched the dojo, but the air is already thick with the metallic scent of blood. It is faint at first, almost imperceptible, but with each passing moment, it becomes undeniable. You glance around and see small cuts, bruises, and scrapes marking the arms and faces of even the most disciplined warriors. The blood is not just physical, it is a symbol of the relentless brutality that defines life among Sengoku samurai. Today, like every day, it will be a constant companion. The training intensifies. The senior samurai pair you with a more experienced warrior, a man whose body is a map of scars and old wounds. His eyes are sharp, his movements lightning fast. As you face him, a knot of fear twists in your stomach. This is not practice in slow motion. This is real, and every swing carries the weight of consequence. You swing your katana, following the drills, but your movements are hesitant, clumsy. A quick counter, and a thin red line appears along your forearm where the wooden sword grazes your skin. Pain shoots up your arm. Your heart pounds. This is your first real taste of blood, and the shock is intoxicating, terrifying, and humiliating all at once. Keep moving, the instructor barks. There is no pause, no respite. You have no time to dwell on the sting, no moment to question whether you are capable of enduring this. Your partner presses the attack again, thrusting and parrying, forcing your muscles to respond faster than they are ready. Another scrape, another red line, this time on your shoulder. A sting, sharp and immediate. Your mind screams, "Stop. This is too much." But your body does not have the luxury of listening. Survival demands that you fight, block, and counter, even as blood trickles down your skin. Around you, other warriors move with deadly precision. Some of the new recruits have already faltered, clutching their arms, shaking, or retreating. A few seasoned samurai, their armor gleaming and faces stoic, demonstrate the ideal, fluid, controlled, lethal. You realize quickly that even a minor lapse can expose a weak point, and in this world, weakness is punished without hesitation. The small cuts you've earned are reminders that the body is vulnerable, but the spirit must remain unbroken, or at least appear so. Your arms scream with fatigue, but the strikes keep coming. You block, thrust, and parry, barely keeping pace. Each motion leaves your muscles trembling, sweat running into your eyes, blood mingling with it from a small gash on your knuckle. Pain has become a constant companion, a shadow that follows your every movement. You taste iron in your mouth from the adrenaline and the proximity of others' wounds. Even now, your mind races to anticipate every possible strike, every feint, every trick your opponent might use to exploit your inexperience. A sudden misstep, a slip on the polished wooden floor, causes your blade to clang against your partner's with a hollow, echoing sound. The senior samurai overseeing the training leans in, his eyes cold. "Focus," he commands. There is no room for mistakes here. Even a minor lapse earns correction, sometimes accompanied by the sting of bamboo or the weight of a body pressing down on yours. You feel the heat rising to your face, but there is no time for shame. You lift the katana once more, ignoring the throbbing in your arm, the sting of fresh blood, and the shaking of your legs. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours. Your muscles burn, your knuckles are raw, and your uniform is soaked with sweat. Yet the training does not relent. Every motion is scrutinized, every mistake noted, every minor injury a lesson etched into your flesh. You begin to understand why the samurai endure such relentless mornings. It is a test of more than skill. It is a test of resolve, endurance, and the capacity to endure suffering without breaking. By the time the senior samurai calls a halt, your body feels like it has been dragged through fire. Your chest heaves, your vision blurs slightly from fatigue, and your arms are streaked with blood. But there is also a flicker of pride. You survived. You did not collapse or surrender. Yet, as you glance around the dojo, you see the seasoned warriors moving with ease, untouched by cuts, poised and deadly. And in that instant, you understand the cruel truth: you are still far from mastery. The morning ends, but the lesson lingers. Blood in the morning is not a punishment, it is an initiation. It is proof that even the strongest newcomers must bleed before they are tested, before they can hope to endure. And for you, it is a chilling reminder: in the world of Sengoku samurai, survival is never guaranteed, and even a single day is a battle in itself. After the morning's grueling training, you begin to grasp that surviving among the Sengoku samurai is not just about skill with the blade, it is about the code that governs every action, thought, and decision. Bushido, the way of the warrior, is not merely philosophy, it is law. Honor, loyalty, courage, and self-discipline are more important than life itself. A samurai who breaks the code risks shame, ostracization, or even death. And as a newcomer, you feel the weight of these invisible rules pressing on you with a force as heavy as armor. The senior samurai gathers the recruits in the center of the dojo. His armor glints in the muted sunlight filtering through the shoji screens. He does not speak loudly, there is no need. His presence commands attention. Bushido, he begins, his voice calm yet sharp, is not words. It is action. It is your sword, your loyalty, your willingness to die rather than bring shame. You feel the chill of his gaze sweep across the room, and your heart quickens. Every man here has heard these words countless times, yet each new recruit, like you, hears them as a threat as much as a lesson. He moves among the students, stopping at each one. When he reaches you, he inspects your stance, your grip, and even the slight tremor in your hands. A warrior who trembles before blood will not survive, he says. The truth of it stings. You are trembling, not from fear of injury, but from the realization that failure is visible, that weakness is immediately judged. In this world, even hesitation is a mark of shame. The samurai code does not forgive ignorance or doubt. Bushido dictates that loyalty to one's lord and clan comes before personal safety. You are beginning to understand that the morning drills, the duels, and the relentless punishments are designed not only to hone the body but also to shape the mind. A samurai cannot hesitate in battle. Fear and indecision can kill not only oneself but also comrades. Every cut, every bruise, every mistake in training is preparation for the real trials on the battlefield, where hesitation is fatal. The code also demands humility. Pride is dangerous, arrogance is fatal. Even as you endure the pain of the morning, you witness the seasoned samurai moving with quiet confidence, never boastful, yet exuding a presence that demands respect. You begin to notice the subtle gestures, the calculated expressions, the way a warrior acknowledges skill without words. This is honor in motion, a living example of Bushido. You realize that to survive, you must emulate not only their strength but their discipline, their humility, their awareness of every action's consequence. Courage, the instructor emphasizes, is not the absence of fear but the mastery of it. When facing an opponent who could cut you down in a heartbeat, courage allows a samurai to act with clarity. You reflect on the morning's first strike, the blood, and the repeated failures. Each moment of hesitation could have been fatal, yet somehow, through sheer stubbornness and adrenaline, you endured. It is a tiny victory, yet it feels monumental. You begin to grasp the essence of courage, not heroic fantasy, but quiet, relentless determination in the face of inevitable danger. The day stretches on, and lessons in Bushido permeate every activity. Every sweep of the broom in the dojo, every practice stance, every exchange with a partner is measured against the code. Mistakes are not only physical, they are moral. A samurai must maintain composure, honor, and respect at all times. Even in moments of exhaustion, the eyes of senior warriors assess, silently judging your adherence to the principles that define their world. By the afternoon, your body aches, and the blood from morning scrapes has dried on your arms. Yet your mind is alert in a new way. The samurai code is not abstract, it is the framework that will allow you to survive, if only you can embody it. You understand that without internalizing Bushido, skill alone is insufficient. A powerful sword arm cannot replace a disciplined mind. And as you kneel to wipe down your katana, carefully observing every line, every nick in the blade, you feel the subtle shift in yourself, a recognition that survival here is as much about ethics, focus, and respect as it is about brute strength. The sun begins its descent, and the dojo quiets. Today has been a harsh initiation, a first taste of what it means to live by a code that demands sacrifice, courage, and perfection. As you sit among the other recruits, exhausted yet strangely exhilarated, you realize that even a single day here tests every fiber of your being. And deep inside, you know that in this world, failure is not just a lesson, it is the cost of dishonor, and sometimes, the cost of life itself. By the 5th hour of the day, exhaustion has become a familiar companion. Your arms feel like lead, your legs are trembling, and sweat has soaked through your uniform. Yet the senior samurai are relentless. Training does not pause for fatigue, and weakness is a luxury you cannot afford. Today, the session is called Training Under Fire, a relentless series of drills designed to push both body and mind to their absolute limits. The first exercise is simple in concept but brutal in execution, continuous strikes against a moving opponent. The instructor shouts commands, and the room erupts with the clash of wood on wood. Every misstep is punished, a sloppy block, a late parry, and you feel the sting of bamboo against your flesh. You fight to maintain focus, to predict your partner's movements, but each swing demands more energy than your body seems capable of producing. Muscles burn, lungs burn, and yet the drill continues without pause. Next comes footwork under pressure. The senior samurai instruct you to move in precise formations while attacking and defending simultaneously. One misaligned step, and the correction comes swiftly, a kick to the shin, a push to the chest, a sharp reprimand that leaves both sting and shame. You notice that the seasoned warriors execute every motion flawlessly, appearing almost effortless, while you struggle to maintain rhythm, constantly lagging behind. The realization hits hard, raw strength means nothing without coordination, timing, and mental acuity. Then comes endurance strikes. You are paired with multiple opponents in rapid succession. Your arms are already trembling from the morning drills, but the senior samurai demand relentless aggression. Every attack, every parry, every block is a test. You feel a sharp graze across your forearm, a minor cut, but it burns with every motion. Blood mixes with sweat, dripping down your hands and staining the wooden floor. Pain is no longer a warning, it is the constant baseline, a reminder that in this world, comfort does not exist. The final stage is exhaustion combat. Fatigue is maximized, muscles screaming, body trembling. Your partner presses forward with a barrage of strikes. Instincts slow, reaction time falters, and mistakes multiply. A sudden slip causes your guard to falter, and your opponent's blade grazes your side. A thin line of blood appears, and for a moment, fear surges through you, not of injury, but of failure, of losing control in a place where control is life itself. The senior samurai's eyes narrow. You straighten, bite back the panic, and force yourself to meet the next attack with renewed focus. In between drills, there is no rest. You kneel, panting, wiping sweat and blood from your face. You glance around at the others, some staggering, some barely holding their weapons. Yet despite the exhaustion, there is a strange camaraderie. Shared suffering binds the warriors together, even as competition and hierarchy remain ever present. Each glance, each measured movement, each silent acknowledgement speaks volumes. You are being tested, not only for skill, but for endurance, for resilience, for the capacity to survive in a world that spares no one. By the end of the session, your uniform is soaked, your hands blistered, and your muscles screaming in protest. Yet you notice subtle changes in yourself. Movements that felt clumsy an hour ago now feel marginally smoother. Your breathing is slightly more controlled. Your mind, though battered, begins to anticipate, to calculate, to react. You understand that these drills, though brutal, are forging something essential, a mind capable of focus under extreme duress, a body conditioned to withstand repeated punishment, and a spirit willing to endure. As you lay down the katana and collapse onto the floor, you glance at the seasoned warriors. Their bodies may be scarred, their faces hardened, but they move with a quiet confidence that comes only from surviving such training countless times. You realize the truth: survival here is not about invincibility, it is about persistence, adaptability, and the relentless refusal to give in to pain or fear. Even one day among these warriors is a trial that would break most men. Yet somehow, against every instinct screaming for rest, you rise once more. The day is far from over, and the lessons have only just begun. In this place, endurance is measured not by minutes or hours, but by one agonizing strike, one punishing drill, one drop of blood at a time. And in that realization, a grim determination settles over you: if you are to survive, even for a single day, you must embrace the fire, or be consumed by it. After hours of grueling training with nothing but your uniform and sword, the next trial begins, donning the armor of a samurai. At first glance, it seems ceremonial, even beautiful. Layers of lacquered plates, intricate lacing, and polished metal that gleams in the muted sunlight. But as soon as you lift the first piece, reality strikes. This armor is heavy, restrictive, and designed not for comfort, but for survival, and domination on the battlefield. Your instructor, a broad-shouldered veteran with countless campaigns etched into his face, watches silently as you struggle to fit into the chest plate. The metal digs into your shoulders, the cords chafe your wrists, and the weight feels unnatural, almost alien. Even a simple step now requires conscious effort. Every movement is a battle against gravity, against the limits of your body. You realize quickly, wielding a katana with precision while encased in armor is a skill the seasoned samurai have perfected over years, if not decades. Once armored, you are paired with a fellow recruit for sparring. The experience is immediately humbling. Your strikes feel sluggish, your parries delayed. Movements that seemed natural moments ago are now awkward and exhausting. Each swing demands more effort, each footwork adjustment is a trial. Even breathing is a labor, as the chest plate compresses your lungs, making every inhale a conscious struggle. Your muscles scream with fatigue, protesting the extra load. The senior samurai call out instructions with precision, emphasizing balance, posture, and center of gravity. Do not let the armor become your weakness, one commands. It is an extension of your body, not a burden to fight against. Easier said than done. With every clash of wood against metal, every controlled strike and parry, you feel the truth of his words. Armor does not make you invincible, it exposes your mistakes, amplifies your fatigue, and demands mastery of movement. A poorly timed strike could leave you off balance, vulnerable, and easily defeated. During the drill, a minor slip sends your katana clanging against your partner's helmet, echoing loudly through the dojo. Pain shoots through your arms as you adjust to the awkward weight distribution. Sweat drips down your neck, mixing with the dust and the faint smell of metal. Your legs shake, fighting to maintain stability while moving in a way that feels simultaneously powerful and unnatural. The seasoned warriors glide across the floor, seemingly impervious to the armor's weight, making every motion look effortless. You cannot help but feel both awe and despair. Armor is not only physical, it is psychological. You become aware of its presence with every motion, a constant reminder of the demands of the samurai life. It is heavy, restrictive, uncomfortable, and yet it is your shield, your protection, your identity. A samurai's skill is measured not only by his swordsmanship but by how well he moves while bearing the burden of protection. Today, you understand why mastery of armor is revered as much as mastery of the blade itself. By the end of the session, your body is trembling, and every joint aches under the strain. You remove the armor, your hands raw from pulling straps, your skin marked by pressure points and minor abrasions. Despite the pain, there is a strange satisfaction, a deeper understanding of what it means to be a warrior. To survive among the Sengoku samurai, one must endure not only the physical punishment of training and combat but also the constant weight of responsibility, the burden of duty, and the literal weight of armor that turns every movement into a lesson in perseverance. As you sit on the edge of the dojo, massaging your shoulders and stretching your aching limbs, you glance at the veteran samurai moving effortlessly in their armor. You understand something vital: strength alone is meaningless. Survival requires adaptation, focus, and a willingness to endure every discomfort, every strain, every challenge, until your body and mind are forged into a weapon themselves. The weight of armor is heavy, but it is a necessary lesson, a reminder that the life of a samurai is never easy, and even a single day is a relentless trial. After the punishing morning and the exhausting trial of armor, the samurai do not grant you rest. Instead, you are led to the corner of the dojo where rows of swords lie before you. Today's lesson is deceptively simple: maintain your weapon. Yet nothing about life in the Sengoku period is simple. The katana is more than a tool, it is an extension of the warrior, a living partner that demands attention, respect, and skill. Neglect it, and it can betray you in the blink of an eye. You kneel on the polished floor, water and stones at hand. The senior instructs, watching your every motion, his eyes sharp and unforgiving. The blade is the mirror of the soul, he says. A dull or neglected sword reflects a dull or weak spirit. Take care of it, or it will fail you when it matters most. You dip the whetstone into water, feeling the chill seep into your fingers, and begin the meticulous process of sharpening. Every stroke must be precise, every angle exact. Too steep, and the edge chips. Too shallow, and the steel will never cut cleanly. Minutes stretch into hours as you move the blade rhythmically against the stone. Your arms ache, your back cramps, but the focus demanded by this task is unlike anything you have faced. One lapse, one distracted thought, and you could nick yourself, ruining both the weapon and your hand. The sweat from earlier training drips onto the floor, mixing with the faint metallic scent of the blade. It is meditative, almost hypnotic, but the danger is ever present. You are acutely aware that this is not just a task, it is a lesson in discipline, patience, and attention to detail. As you work, the senior samurai circulates among the recruits, inspecting each blade and each movement. A misaligned stroke earns a sharp correction, a tap on the wrist, a stern word, a demonstration of proper technique. Even a simple task like sharpening a sword is imbued with consequences, teaching that excellence is not an option, but a necessity. In the world of samurai, carelessness can cost life itself. You glance at the other recruits. Some are focused, precise, almost serene, while others tremble under the pressure, their strokes erratic, their edges uneven. You notice a rhythm emerging, a connection between mind and hand, focus and action. For the first time today, amidst the pain, fatigue, and blood, you feel a small sense of control. This is a rare moment where discipline overcomes chaos, where mental acuity outweighs brute strength. And yet, it is a fragile victory. One distracted thought, one lapse in concentration, and all could unravel. The lesson deepens when the senior samurai introduces tests. Each recruit must cut through bamboo stalks, paper targets, and occasionally, live exercises under supervision. The sword must perform flawlessly. Any hesitation, any dullness, any imperfection is immediately revealed. When your blade bites cleanly, there is a rush, a fleeting glimpse of pride. When it fails, there is a sting, a reminder that even the smallest oversight carries weight. Your hands are sore, your forearms trembling, yet each repetition hones both weapon and mind. By mid-afternoon, you feel a subtle shift. The katana feels lighter, more responsive, almost alive in your hands. Your movements are slightly more fluid, your focus sharper, your respect deeper. You begin to understand the symbiotic relationship between warrior and blade. The sword sharpens the warrior as much as the warrior sharpens the sword. In this lesson, the Sengoku samurai reveal one of their most enduring truths: mastery is not achieved in battle alone, but in preparation, precision, and unrelenting attention to detail. When the session finally ends, you set down your sword, exhausted but changed. Your body aches, your fingers blistered, your back sore, yet your mind is alert, focused, and humbled. You glance around at the other warriors, each transformed by the same ritual. And in that moment, you understand something profound: survival among the samurai is not merely about strength or courage. It is about discipline, focus, and respect, for oneself, for one's weapon, and for the code that governs this unforgiving world. The sun begins to dip, casting long shadows across the dojo. Today has been relentless, and tomorrow promises more. Yet in the quiet moment of reflection, you sense the truth of the samurai way: mastery of the mind is inseparable from mastery of the blade. And if you hope to survive even a single day, you must embrace both, or be consumed by the fire of this world. After hours of grueling drills, armor trials, and blade sharpening, the samurai at last grant a brief reprieve: a meal. Yet even this is not comfort, it is another lesson in discipline, endurance, and preparation for the life of a warrior. The air in the communal hall is thick with the scent of rice, dried fish, and miso soup, mingling with the lingering metallic tang of blood and sweat from the morning's training. Every recruit, including yourself, moves quietly, understanding that even eating is an exercise in control. You kneel on the polished wooden floor alongside the other warriors, your stomach growling in protest. Portions are minimal, measured precisely to sustain energy but not indulgence. The senior samurai watch every motion, every gesture. Chopsticks must be handled with precision, every bite must be taken without hesitation or waste. A sloppily handled bowl or a delayed bite earns a sharp glance, a subtle reminder that discipline governs all aspects of life here. Even nourishment is earned through attention and respect. The meal itself is simple: steamed rice, a small piece of grilled fish, and a bowl of miso soup. Yet each bite is taken deliberately. You chew slowly, forcing your mind to focus on the taste, the texture, the nourishment it provides. The seasoned samurai eat with a calm precision, their eyes occasionally scanning the room, observing the newcomers. You notice how they balance sustenance with readiness. No one eats too quickly, no one appears vulnerable, and yet each warrior consumes enough to sustain the body through the next round of grueling training. This is also a lesson in humility. No matter how exhausted or injured you feel, you must eat with grace, without complaint. The samurai code demands that even in basic acts, honor and decorum are maintained. You watch a recruit beside you fumble with chopsticks, spilling rice onto the floor. The senior samurai does not need to intervene immediately, the error speaks for itself. Shame is a weapon as effective as the sword. You focus on controlling your own movements, forcing your shaking hands to obey. Conversation is sparse, broken only by the occasional instruction or the subtle scrape of a wooden spoon against a bowl. Silence dominates, punctuated by the soft sounds of eating and the distant rustle of armor from those already returning to drills. The meal is not a social event, it is fuel, a calculated pause in an otherwise relentless day. Every morsel consumed prepares you for the physical and mental challenges ahead, for the day is far from over, and the demands of survival remain constant. You notice how the experienced warriors eat almost meditatively. Their focus is absolute, their movements deliberate, their eyes alert. Even in the simple act of eating, there is no room for distraction. They are preparing their bodies for battle while training their minds to remain calm under pressure. You begin to understand that the smallest routines, repeated perfectly, build the foundation for endurance, skill, and survival. As you finish your meal, you feel the subtle shift of energy returning to your body. Fatigue is still present, but a quiet strength begins to settle in your limbs. Your mind is clearer, more focused, readying for the next phase of training. Even this simple meal has reinforced a lesson: survival among the Sengoku samurai is not about indulgence or comfort, it is about efficiency, discipline, and the relentless preparation for battle and adversity. The plates are cleared quickly, without ceremony, and the recruits rise to return to the dojo floor. You feel the weight of anticipation pressing down once more. The afternoon promises drills, lessons, and tests even harsher than the morning. Yet in the ritual of the meal, you have glimpsed a crucial truth: to endure, you must accept discomfort, embrace discipline, and find sustenance, not just in food, but in the rigor and structure of the samurai life itself. And with that understanding, you tighten your grip on your katana, ready for whatever comes next. Even as your body recovers slightly from the morning's physical trials, the true test begins: the strain on your mind. Among the Sengoku samurai, survival is as much about mental endurance as it is about physical skill. Fatigue is relentless, fear is constant, and mistakes are unforgiving. Today, the instructors push not only your muscles but your focus, discipline, and ability to remain calm under pressure. The first drill begins with repetitive sword forms, seemingly simple, yet designed to break concentration. Your arms ache, your legs tremble, and sweat drips into your eyes. Every misalignment, every delayed motion, is noticed immediately. The senior samurai do not need to speak harshly, their silent observation is enough to create tension that presses down on your chest. Your mind races with calculations, foot placement, blade angle, timing, but the fatigue clouds judgment, making every decision more perilous. Then comes the mental endurance test. You are paired with multiple opponents, each attack coming in rapid succession. Unlike previous drills, there is no pause, no rhythm, no pattern. Your brain struggles to process the incoming strikes while coordinating your own defense and offense. Panic whispers in your ear, urging hesitation, begging for relief. Yet hesitation is fatal here. You force yourself to breathe deeply, to focus, to anticipate. The mind must override the exhaustion in order for the body to survive. Mistakes come swiftly. A poorly judged parry, a late foot adjustment, and you are grazed by a wooden strike. The pain is minor compared to the mental shock of failure. Around you, other recruits stumble, falter, or freeze, revealing the brutal reality: physical strength without mental fortitude is meaningless. You realize that each bruise, each graze, is not merely a mark on the body, but a lesson etched into memory, teaching the crucial skill of maintaining composure under relentless stress. The mental strain does not end there. The senior samurai introduce unexpected challenges, sudden feints, deceptive maneuvers, and verbal commands to distract or confuse. You are forced to react instinctively, relying on training and presence of mind rather than conscious thought. Every misstep carries a reminder of mortality, every hesitation a test of resilience. The dojo becomes a battlefield not only of bodies but of minds, where sharpness of thought is as vital as sharpness of the blade. Even during brief pauses, your mind cannot rest. Thoughts of failure, fear of injury, and the pressure to perform perfectly gnaw at your focus. You become hyper-aware of every detail: the floor's slickness, the faint scent of blood, the rhythm of your opponent's breathing. This heightened perception, while exhausting, is a crucial skill for survival. The samurai life demands constant vigilance, the ability to maintain clarity even when the body screams for surrender. Hours stretch into what feels like days. The mental fatigue is relentless, deeper than muscle soreness, more insidious than pain. Yet through this struggle, you begin to notice subtle improvements. Decisions come slightly faster, movements become more fluid despite exhaustion, and fear becomes a tool rather than a master. The dojo is not merely a place of training, it is a crucible forging not only the body but the mind, teaching that endurance is as much about thought, focus, and discipline as it is about strength and stamina. By the end of the session, your arms tremble, your chest heaves, and your mind is frayed. Yet a quiet resilience has begun to take root. You understand that the true warrior is forged not just in battles of steel, but in battles of the mind. In this world, the ability to endure mental strain is as lethal as any strike of a katana. And as you kneel on the polished floor, gripping your blade with numb fingers, you realize, to survive even a single day among the Sengoku samurai, you must train your mind to withstand fear, confusion, and exhaustion as relentlessly as you train your body to wield a sword. The lesson is clear, yet sobering: strength alone is not enough. Survival demands clarity, focus, and unbreakable resolve. And in the world of the Sengoku samurai, even the slightest mental lapse can be deadly. After hours of relentless physical and mental training, you are finally faced with a true test, your first spar. The senior samurai call it a rite of passage, a moment where theory, drills, and endurance are put to the ultimate challenge. You feel a knot of tension twist in your stomach. Fatigue weighs on your body, your arms ache, and your mind is frayed, but there is no retreat. To falter now would mean humiliation, or worse, injury. You are paired with a slightly more experienced recruit, a young man with confidence in his stance and a steady gaze. He does not smile, he does not hesitate. The katana in his hands feels like an extension of his own body. Your heart races as the sensei steps back, signaling the start. The first clash of blades rings sharp and loud, echoing through the dojo. Instinct and training collide as you block, parry, and thrust. The first few moments are chaotic, your strikes lack precision, your movements lag behind his. A graze on your shoulder sends a sting through your body, and the taste of blood mixes with sweat in your mouth. Every second is a lesson. Your opponent moves like water, fluid, relentless, and unpredictable. He feints, steps, and strikes, testing your reactions. One false move and you are off balance. You realize that your previous drills, as exhausting as they were only preparation for this dynamic combat. The kata forms, the blade sharpening, the armor trials, all intended to prepare the body, mind, and reflexes for a single moment of confrontation. Yet theory and reality are never identical. The spar pushes you beyond physical exhaustion. Your arms tremble violently, legs threaten to buckle, and every strike demands more energy than you can give. Fear gnaws at your focus, whispering that you are unprepared, that you will fail. But instinct takes over. You block a strike that seemed inevitable, counter with a thrust that lands, and for a fleeting moment, feel the clarity of purpose, the brief exhilaration of matching skill against skill. The senior samurai watch closely. Their eyes assess more than strength, they judge timing, discipline, and composure. One error, one hesitation, one lack of respect for the opponent, and correction comes swiftly, sometimes as a verbal reprimand, sometimes as a swift tap that reminds you that failure here has consequences. Even small victories in sparring are tempered by awareness. A true samurai's success is measured not by brute force, but by skill, focus, and adaptability. Minutes stretch like hours. Sweat drips into your eyes, blurring vision, and your muscles scream in protest. Every strike you make requires precision, every parry demands anticipation. You realize that endurance alone cannot win. A samurai must read the opponent, react instinctively, and maintain composure while every fiber of the body screams in fatigue. The lesson is clear: survival is not granted to the strongest, but to the sharpest, the quickest, and the most disciplined. By the end of the spar, your uniform is soaked, your katana sticky with sweat and faint traces of blood. Your opponent lowers his blade with a respectful nod. You collapse to one knee, gasping for breath, your arms trembling uncontrollably. Yet within the exhaustion, there is a spark of triumph. You survived. You matched skill with skill, even if barely. You felt the true edge of a samurai's life, the danger, the precision, the relentless test of body and mind. As you rise, wiping sweat and blood from your brow, you understand one unshakable truth: the life of a Sengoku samurai is unyielding. Even one day is a series of battles, not only with others, but with oneself. Strength alone is insufficient. Courage alone is insufficient. Mastery requires endurance, focus, and unflinching discipline. And as you glance around the dojo at warriors who have honed these skills for years, you realize that surviving, even for a single day, is a feat that few could endure. After the intensity of your first spar, the dojo quiets for a brief moment, but there is no true rest. The senior samurai begin the next phase, tending to wounds and learning from mistakes. Here, blood is not shameful, it is an instructor. Every cut, bruise, and scrape is a tangible lesson, a record of failure, hesitation, or poor technique. You examine the thin line of blood on your shoulder and knuckles, each one a mark of both survival and imperfection. The instructors guide you in cleaning minor cuts, wrapping them with precision to prevent infection. Even this process is ritualized, a practice in discipline and awareness. The samurai teaches that care for the body is as vital as care for the weapon. Negligence can cost life in battle. You feel the sting of antiseptic, the pressure of the bandage, and realize that even small wounds carry lessons, awareness of movement, control of force, and attention to surroundings. Discussion follows. The senior samurai call the recruits forward, reviewing every motion, every strike from the sparring sessions. Mistakes are dissected, sometimes harshly, sometimes silently, but always clearly. You are reminded that survival depends on learning, adapting, and internalizing every error. The cut on your shoulder is more than pain, it is feedback, evidence of hesitation, poor timing, or misjudgment. You begin to understand that wounds are teachers, and enduring them is part of mastery. Around you, others tend to their injuries as well. Some recoil at the touch of antiseptic, others remain stoic, masking pain with quiet discipline. The contrast is striking. Those who appear calm and collected are not invulnerable, they are trained to endure, to observe, and to adapt. You notice that your own responses have been unsteady, fueled by panic as much as by exertion. Awareness settles in, mastering fear and discomfort is just as critical as mastering the sword. The session continues with reflective drills. You replay mistakes in controlled movements, correcting posture, adjusting footwork, and refining strikes. Each motion is deliberate, almost meditative. The wounds serve as reminders to focus, to anticipate, to control. A small graze that once caused alarm now guides your attention to weak points, helping you internalize lessons in a way that theory alone cannot provide. Pain and fatigue become instruments of learning. A subtle shift occurs within you. Where there was once panic, there is now concentration. Where hesitation dominated, there is now calculation. The blood that once seemed a mark of failure is now evidence of experience, the first step toward resilience. You begin to feel a connection between body, mind, and weapon, a harmony forged through suffering, correction, and discipline. By the end of the session, your body is battered, your uniform torn, and your hands raw. Yet, despite exhaustion and pain, you feel the unmistakable sensation of growth. Every scrape, every bruise, every sharp sting is now a building block in your understanding of the samurai life. The dojo is no longer a place of chaos, it is a forge, shaping you through hardship and demanding perfection through discipline. As the sun lowers toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the wooden floor, you reflect on the day's lessons. Wounds are not weakness, they are guidance. Pain is not punishment, it is education. The life of a Sengoku samurai is relentless, unyielding, and uncompromising. Yet within its brutality lies a truth: mastery, survival, and honor are earned one cut, one strike, one lesson at a time. And even after enduring so much, you realize, this is only the beginning. As the day winds down, the dojo quiets, and the sun begins to cast long, golden streaks across the wooden floor. The relentless drills, sparring, and lessons leave your body trembling, but there is a different weight pressing on your mind, the weight of reflection. Evening in a samurai camp is not merely a pause, it is a time to internalize every lesson, every mistake, and every small victory. You sit cross-legged, katana resting across your lap, and allow yourself to take stock. Blood and sweat have soaked your uniform, cuts throb faintly, reminders of the day's relentless trial. You replay the moments in your mind, the first strike, the armor's oppressive weight, the sparring with your partner. Each memory is sharp, vivid, and instructive. You begin to see patterns in your errors, small weaknesses in technique and judgment that can be corrected. The day's pain, once chaotic and overwhelming, now becomes clarity, a roadmap for improvement. The senior samurai circulates silently among the recruits, offering occasional guidance. There are no harsh words tonight, this is a time for observation and quiet correction. A tap on the shoulder, a subtle adjustment of grip, a nod of acknowledgement. Each small interaction is a lesson in itself, teaching that mastery is a combination of action, attention, and reflection. You notice how the experienced warriors seem almost meditative, eyes sharp yet calm, movements deliberate, embodying the discipline that you are only beginning to grasp. Evening meals are simple and sparse, yet taken with the same discipline as earlier in the day. Rice, miso soup, and small portions of fish are consumed quietly, each bite deliberate. You notice how the seasoned samurai maintain composure, never rushing, never displaying fatigue or distraction. Discipline permeates every action, even nourishment becomes a practice of focus, humility, and respect. You begin to understand that survival is not only in battle, but in the mastery of daily routines. After eating, recruits are encouraged to practice meditation and mental focus. You sit in silence, katana laid flat before you, and focus on breath, posture, and awareness. The dojo is calm, but your mind is alive with the events of the day. Thoughts of failure, hesitation, and fear arise, but so do moments of triumph, clarity, and connection. Meditation is not an escape, it is preparation, reinforcing discipline, fortitude, and mental resilience, the same qualities that will allow you to survive on the battlefield. As darkness settles, lanterns flicker, casting shadows across the dojo. You reflect on the totality of the day, physical exhaustion, mental strain, lessons learned from blood and bruises. Each moment, each correction, each strike has contributed to an understanding of what life among the Sengoku samurai truly demands. You realize that even surviving one day is extraordinary, that mastery is a lifelong pursuit, and that every small victory must be tempered with humility and relentless self-discipline. The quiet of the evening also brings fear, the fear of the next day, when the trials will begin anew, possibly harsher and more relentless. Yet this fear is no longer paralyzing. You recognize it as a necessary part of training, a force that sharpens focus and strengthens resolve. In the dim light, you feel a new determination taking root, to endure, to learn, to survive, no matter the cost. As you lay down for rest, every muscle screaming in protest, every cut a reminder of yesterday's failure and triumph, you accept a simple truth: living among the samurai is an unending trial of body, mind, and spirit. One day is enough to break the unprepared. But as exhaustion overtakes you, there is a flicker of hope, a small flame of resilience. You have endured. You have survived. And tomorrow, the test continues. The first light of dawn seeps through the shoji screens, painting the dojo in pale gold and shadow. Even before the sun fully rises, the samurai are already stirring, their movements precise and deliberate. The relentless rhythm of their life begins anew, and you realize that in this world, rest is temporary and vigilance is constant. Today promises another series of trials, yet it is the quiet, unyielding discipline of dawn that sets the tone for everything to come. You rise stiffly, every muscle still aching from yesterday's exhaustion. Your cuts throb faintly, a persistent reminder of the previous day's lessons. Dressing in your uniform feels heavier than usual, but there is no hesitation. The senior samurai do not wait, they do not tolerate delay. Each movement, from tying your obi to adjusting your katana, must be deliberate, precise, and correct. One misstep, one forgotten motion, earns a glare that speaks louder than words. The discipline begins before training even starts. Breakfast is minimal, eaten quickly yet without chaos. Rice, miso, and dried fish provide fuel, but the act of eating is itself a test of self-control. The samurai remind recruits that every action, even consumption, must adhere to order and focus. You chew deliberately, noting how the seasoned warriors manage energy and composure. Their eyes are calm, scanning the room, while your own mind races with anticipation of the drills to come. Even nourishment is a rehearsal for the precision and awareness that survival demands. The morning exercises begin with basic kata, movements refined through countless repetitions. Yet even the simplest forms are rigorous under the watchful eyes of the instructors. Every stance, every swing, every breath is observed, corrected, and measured. Fatigue from yesterday lingers, but the dawn offers a strange clarity. Movements that were clumsy now begin to flow more naturally. Your arms remember the rhythm of the sword, your legs recall the careful weight shifts of proper footwork. Discipline is becoming muscle memory, ingrained not just in the body but in the mind. Next comes paired drills, striking and defending in rapid succession. Today, the emphasis is on anticipation, reading the subtle movements of your partner and reacting instantly. The first few attacks hit harder than you expected, but your reflexes are sharper. Mistakes still come, but fewer than yesterday. Every motion now carries intention. You understand that dawn is not merely a time of day, it is a metaphor for the beginnings of discipline, for the incremental growth that comes from enduring hardship day after day. The senior samurai provide lessons between exercises, their words measured yet heavy with meaning. Discipline is not visible only in grand feats, one instructs. It is revealed in repetition, in endurance, in doing what must be done even when every fiber of your being resists. A samurai survives not because he is strongest, but because he endures, learns, and corrects continuously. You feel the truth of this in your bones, in the way your muscles obey instructions despite fatigue, in the way your mind begins to anticipate movement before it happens. As the sun climbs higher, you begin to notice the subtle transformation within yourself. Fatigue is still present, but so is clarity. Fear is tempered by focus, panic is replaced by calculation. Even minor successes, like a perfectly timed block or a smooth transition between stances, bring a quiet satisfaction. You realize that discipline is cumulative, it grows incrementally, invisible until tested, and manifests as a seamless blend of body, mind, and spirit. By the time the morning session ends, sweat drips from your brow, your uniform clings to your sore muscles, and your katana feels lighter, more responsive in your hands. The dawn has passed, but its lesson lingers. Survival is earned in the early hours, in repeated practice, and in relentless self-mastery. The life of a Sengoku samurai is unending trial and discipline, where even a single day is enough to break the unprepared. Yet today, you feel, for the first time, the faintest taste of mastery beginning to take root. Following the morning's rigorous discipline, the senior samurai lead the recruits into a new trial, testing reflexes. Unlike previous exercises, which focused on endurance, precision, or technique, this test challenges the mind and body to react instinctively under unpredictable conditions. In the world of Sengoku samurai, a moment of hesitation could mean life or death, and today, you learn why. The drill begins with rapid strikes from multiple directions. Pairs of instructors wield wooden swords, aiming not to injure but to expose any delay in reaction. You crouch, grip your katana tightly, and prepare for the first attack. The strikes come in a chaotic flurry, high, low, diagonal, feints, and sudden thrusts. Every movement must be instant, every block precise. One misstep, one delayed reaction, and your instructor taps you sharply on the arm or side, a clear reminder of failure. Your mind races. Your arms ache, your legs tremble, and yet instinct gradually takes over. Reflexes sharpen as you begin to anticipate patterns. The chaos becomes a rhythm, the unpredictable motions forming a dangerous dance. Each deflection, each counterstrike, strengthens the connection between body and mind. You realize that training thus far, the mornings of sparring, the armor drills, the blade sharpening, has been preparing you for this exact kind of instantaneous, high-pressure reaction. Next comes paired reflex exercises. You face a partner, each armed with a practice katana, and your task is to respond to sudden attacks without pre-planning. There is no sequence, no predictability, only immediate reaction. Your partner feints to the left, then swings to the right. You parry, counter, step back, reposition. Every move tests your speed, precision, and mental clarity. Sweat stings your eyes, your muscles burn, and your heart races, but with each successful deflection, a flicker of confidence grows. The senior samurai do not intervene unless absolutely necessary. Their silence amplifies the pressure. Every mistake is glaring, every hesitation feels monumental. A misjudged strike from yesterday would have been forgiven through repetition. Today, the cost of delay is immediate feedback, a sharp reminder that the battlefield allows no second chances. You feel the edge of reality pressing down. Survival is built on reflexes, anticipation, and focus honed through relentless practice. Throughout the session, fear and fatigue try to dominate, but you find a strange rhythm. Your eyes track the movement of the katana, your body reacts almost automatically, and your mind begins to remain calm amid chaos. Each block and counterstrike teaches more than technique, it teaches poise under pressure, resilience under stress, and the ability to trust your training when instinct must lead. By the end of the exercise, your arms are trembling, your legs heavy, and your uniform soaked with sweat. Yet there is exhilaration in exhaustion. You have survived an intense trial of reflexes, tested your instincts against unpredictability, and glimpsed the essential truth of the samurai life: speed, perception, and mental clarity are just as critical as strength and endurance. The senior samurai nod in approval, acknowledging your progress, however slight. Even one day of survival has taught lessons that will take months or years to fully internalize. You grasp the precarious balance of skill and instinct, realizing that every moment, every strike, every breath is preparation for life or death. And in this realization, a deep respect for the relentless demands of the Sengoku warriors takes root. The afternoon sun hangs low, casting long shadows across the dojo, but there is no respite. The senior samurai begin the next stage, the discipline of pain. Here, you are tested not only in skill and reflex but in your capacity to endure suffering without complaint, to maintain focus when every fiber of your body screams in protest. Survival among the Sengoku samurai is not earned solely through strength, it is forged through endurance, discipline, and the unyielding mastery of discomfort. You are led to a series of grueling exercises designed to push limits. First, continuous strikes against padded targets while holding an awkward stance. Your legs burn, knees wobble, and your back protests the unnatural angles. Every strike demands precision, every motion requires energy you feel you do not possess. The senior samurai walk among the recruits, eyes sharp, correcting posture and timing. A single lapse brings a sharp strike from the instructor's wooden staff, a reminder that failure is never overlooked. Next comes endurance with weighted training swords. The extra load transforms every swing into a battle against your own exhaustion. Muscles quiver with fatigue, shoulders scream, and your grip on the katana begins to falter. Pain becomes a constant companion, but you learn to breathe through it, to accept it, to let it guide your movements rather than hinder them. Each ache, each twinge, becomes a lesson in persistence, a reminder that a samurai's strength is measured as much by resilience as by power. The third exercise is sparring under extreme duress. Your body is trembling, your arms heavy, yet your partner attacks relentlessly. Every mistake is punished, every hesitation exploited. Cuts and bruises multiply, sweat mixes with blood, dripping into your eyes, stinging with every blink. Yet you endure, blocking and countering, adjusting stance and timing with painstaking focus. Pain no longer merely signals injury, it signals opportunity, a way to refine skill, sharpen reflexes, and strengthen resolve. As the drills progress, mental endurance becomes as crucial as physical stamina. The constant discomfort, the repetitive strikes, the looming threat of failure, all press upon your mind. Fear and fatigue whisper for surrender, yet discipline forces you to continue. Focus narrows to the present moment, the angle of your blade, the rhythm of your opponent, the placement of your feet. The mind, like the body, must be trained to endure. By the end of the session, you are battered and bleeding, muscles screaming in protest, yet something subtle has shifted. Pain, once a signal of weakness, is now a tool, a teacher guiding every motion. Each bruise, each scratch, each exhaustion-induced tremor contributes to your understanding of the samurai way. Endurance is a weapon, and mastery over suffering is essential for survival. The senior samurai gather the recruits for a brief reflection. They speak not of comfort, but of resilience. A samurai endures, one intones. Not because it is easy, but because life demands it. The blade does not care for weakness, and the world does not forgive hesitation. Pain is not your enemy, it is your guide. As you kneel, muscles quivering and blood drying on your uniform, you understand the depth of the lesson. The discipline of pain is not cruelty, it is preparation. To survive even a single day among the Sengoku warriors, you must embrace suffering, accept discomfort, and transform endurance into strength. Only then can body and mind move as one, capable of surviving the relentless trials that define the life of a samurai. After the punishing drills of the afternoon, a different kind of test begins, the silent observers. You are gathered in the corner of the dojo, kneeling with your katana resting upright before you, while the senior samurai silently walk among the recruits. There are no words, no instructions, only the weight of observation. Every posture, every breath, every twitch is noted, and every imperfection is a lesson waiting to be revealed. Silence hangs heavy in the room. Your mind, still buzzing from physical exertion and pain, begins to race. Thoughts of mistakes, missteps, and fatigue intrude, yet the practice demands unwavering focus. The senior samurai do not speak, they do not offer encouragement. Their presence alone exerts pressure. The realization dawns that even when still, every movement, every gesture, every moment is an opportunity for failure, or improvement. You notice your own body, tense from fatigue. Shoulders hunch slightly, fingers twitch around the hilt, eyes dart unconsciously. Each motion feels exaggerated under their scrutiny. You are forced to correct even the smallest lapses, straighten your back, adjust your grip, steady your breathing. You begin to understand the subtleties of posture, awareness, and composure, the small details that differentiate the novice from the experienced warrior. The senior samurai pause behind you. You can feel their presence as keen as a blade. One misalignment in stance, one faltering breath, is enough to earn a tap on the shoulder or a brief correction. Even without words, the lessons are clear, vigilance is constant, discipline is non-negotiable, and attention to detail is life-saving. In the world of Sengoku warriors, failure is rarely dramatic, it is often the accumulation of minor lapses that leads to catastrophe. Time stretches. Minutes feel like hours as the silent scrutiny continues. Your mind strains to maintain focus, filtering out fatigue, discomfort, and fear. You are forced to observe yourself as if from the outside, monitoring posture, grip, and breathing. Awareness becomes heightened to an almost unnatural degree. The discipline of silence teaches more than any shouted correction ever could. You realize that survival in this life is as much about self-control, observation, and internal mastery as it is about strength and skill. After what feels like an eternity, the senior samurai retreat. The silence is broken only by the soft sound of your own breathing. You exhale, trembling from exertion and mental strain, and for the first time notice a subtle transformation. Posture feels slightly more natural, grip more secure, awareness sharper. Even stillness has become a form of practice, a reinforcement of focus, patience, and resilience. The lesson of the silent observers is clear, the battlefield does not announce itself. It comes suddenly, relentlessly, demanding complete presence. One cannot afford to relax, even for a moment. Even when still, even in reflection, every action, or inaction, matters. Survival is a combination of awareness, discipline, and the ability to maintain composure under scrutiny, whether from an opponent, an instructor, or oneself. As you leave the dojo floor, exhausted yet alert, you understand that this is the essence of the Sengoku samurai: constant vigilance, continuous self-assessment, and unwavering discipline. Even in silence, even in observation, the world demands mastery of body, mind, and spirit. And you realize that living among these warriors, even for a single day, requires more than courage, it requires complete, relentless presence. As dusk falls, the dojo empties, but the day's trials are far from over. You are assigned your first night guard duty, a test of vigilance, endurance, and mental fortitude. Darkness transforms the familiar surroundings into something more uncertain, and every sound, every shadow, seems amplified. For the Sengoku samurai, even a single moment of inattention at night could be deadly. The responsibility is immediate. Armed with your katana and clad in light armor, you patrol the outer perimeter. Your steps are deliberate, measured, and silent. The wooden floorboards creak slightly under your weight, each sound echoing in the stillness. You realize quickly that fatigue from the day's training magnifies every challenge. Muscles ache, eyes strain in low light, and your mind struggles to remain alert. Yet vigilance cannot falter, even for a moment. The senior samurai had instructed that observation is key. Shadows of swaying trees can mimic movement, distant animal sounds can mask approaching danger. Your senses are sharpened to every nuance. Each breeze, each rustle, each distant clatter forces immediate attention. Even minor distractions are training in disguise. The ability to filter real threats from false alarms is crucial. One mistake, one lapse in judgment, could be fatal in a real battle. Hours stretch slowly. The monotony of the patrol, combined with exhaustion, challenges both body and mind. Sleepiness tugs at your eyelids, fatigue clouds reaction time. Your muscles scream for rest. Your mind craves reprieve. But the lesson is clear: the life of a samurai does not grant comfort, and survival demands relentless focus. You take deep, controlled breaths, forcing attention back to the task, feeling the rhythm of your footsteps and the weight of the katana in your hands. Suddenly, movement, a shadow flickering near the edge of the courtyard. Your body reacts before your mind can fully assess. Grip tightens, stance solidifies, eyes lock on the source. It is only the wind swaying a branch. Relief mixes with adrenaline. This small, controlled reaction reinforces an essential truth: instinct, vigilance, and composure are inseparable. The night does not wait for hesitation. Your body must respond instantly, even when uncertainty dominates perception. As the night progresses, the rhythm of patrols, the subtle shift of shadows, and the occasional distant cry of animals become a meditation of sorts. Your body moves with the practice steps ingrained from weeks of training. Your mind scans, anticipates, and analyzes. The darkness, once intimidating, becomes a teacher, revealing the importance of presence and awareness. Survival is not only about reacting to the enemy but understanding the environment, the timing, and one's own capabilities. By the time dawn approaches, exhaustion is overwhelming. Your legs are heavy, your hands sore, and your mind is frayed. Yet, despite the fatigue, there is pride in having endured. You realize that even the simplest duty, a night of vigilance, carries lessons in patience, perception, and resilience. For a samurai, every moment is training. Even the silent, lonely hours of the night are an opportunity to sharpen skill, fortitude, and instinct. As you hand off the guard to the next recruit and return to the barracks, the first light of morning brushes the sky. The night has passed, but the lesson endures. Survival requires attention when it is most difficult to maintain. Even a single day in the life of a Sengoku warrior demands mastery over body, mind, and instinct. You have faced the darkness, and you have survived. The sky begins to pale as the first hints of dawn creep over the horizon. You rise stiffly from the barracks, every muscle sore, your hands still tender from yesterday's sparring and last night's patrol. Yet there is no choice. Another day in the life of a Sengoku samurai begins, and it starts with a dawn patrol. The purpose is not merely physical training, it is a test of endurance, awareness, and reflection under the subtle pressure of routine and discipline. You join the other recruits silently. The senior samurai walk alongside, eyes scanning, movements deliberate. The patrol follows a strict path around the compound, every step measured, every pause purposeful. You notice how even in the faint light, small details matter: footprints, the angle of the ground, faint sounds of nocturnal creatures. Each observation is recorded in the mind, every anomaly noted. Survival depends on awareness, and the dawn patrol trains both senses and patience. The cold morning air bites at your skin, a reminder that comfort is never granted. Fatigue from previous days presses down on your limbs. You stumble slightly on a loose stone, and the shadow of your instructor looms silently behind you, a reminder that perfection is expected, even in small, routine motions. You correct your footing immediately, forcing attention to each detail. This is more than a physical exercise, it is mental conditioning. Every small lapse is a risk, every correction a step toward mastery. As you move, you reflect on the lessons of yesterday: sparring, the discipline of pain, silent observation, and the night guard. Each trial has been brutal, unrelenting, and exhausting, yet each has left a mark on your mind and body. You begin to see a connection: the drills, the reflections, and the endurance exercises are not random, they build a framework for life, sharpening perception, strengthening instinct, and reinforcing discipline. The dawn patrol is both literal and metaphorical, a start of a new day and a reinforcement of lessons learned. The senior samurai occasionally stop, pointing out subtle details: a shifted tile, a slightly ajar door, the faint traces of animals. These are not threats, but exercises in awareness. You focus, breath steady, eyes scanning. Your mind, frayed from exhaustion, begins to adapt. Patterns emerge where before there was chaos. Reflexes become faster, observations sharper, and fear gives way to calculated attention. Survival is not about avoiding danger, but recognizing it, understanding it, and responding with precision. The patrol concludes with a moment of reflection. Recruits kneel silently, taking stock of their observations and experiences. You feel the ache in your muscles, the throb of your wounds, and yet, there is a quiet pride in endurance. The dawn patrol has reminded you that discipline begins before training, before combat, and even before the day officially starts. Awareness and reflection are as vital as strength and skill. As the sun rises fully, bathing the dojo and compound in warm light, you feel a subtle transformation. Fatigue remains, but your mind is sharper, body more responsive, and awareness heightened. The dawn patrol, though exhausting, has reinforced a critical lesson: survival among the Sengoku samurai demands constant vigilance, reflection, and the ability to maintain composure and focus from the first light to the darkest hours. You understand now that even a single day is an unending sequence of tests, each building upon the last. Endurance, skill, mental clarity, and discipline are not merely learned, they are forged through repetition, challenge, and reflection. And in the quiet glow of morning, you realize that each moment survived is a victory, a testament to perseverance, and a step toward understanding the relentless life of a Sengoku warrior. No sooner has the dawn patrol ended than the senior samurai usher the recruits back into the dojo for the relentless drill. This session is designed to push every recruit beyond the limits of endurance, both physical and mental. The day is unrelenting, and the instructors waste no time testing every facet of your skill, strength, and focus. You feel the tension coil in your stomach, exhaustion from the night and morning has not yet subsided, yet the lesson is clear: there is no pause, no comfort, no leniency. The drill begins with repeated strikes, blocks, and thrusts, in a rhythm deliberately designed to exhaust. Wooden swords crash against one another in rapid succession, echoing through the dojo. Your arms quiver, sweat drips into your eyes, and your legs feel like lead, yet the senior samurai demand perfection. One misstep, a weak parry, a delayed strike, or a faltering stance, is met with correction, sometimes harsh, sometimes silent but unmistakable. The purpose is not punishment, it is conditioning. The relentless nature of the drill forces focus under fatigue, teaching that survival depends on maintaining precision when the body screams for relief. Next comes pairing with another recruit, moving through rapid, unpredictable sequences. Your partner feints left, then strikes right. You parry instinctively, counterstrike, pivot, and adjust stance. Every move requires full attention, there is no margin for error. The intensity of the drill blurs the line between mind and body. Fatigue tries to dominate, yet reflexes must remain sharp, technique precise, and awareness constant. Survival, you realize, is as much about mental fortitude as physical skill. The senior samurai occasionally add unexpected interruptions, shouted commands, sudden reversals, or simultaneous attacks from multiple directions. Each addition tests composure, forcing recruits to adapt instantly. Hesitation is punished, but so is overreaction. You learn to read cues, predict movement, and control both aggression and restraint. Every strike is a lesson, every parry a measure of your resilience. The relentless drill is more than training, it is a crucible shaping endurance, focus, and instinct. Hours stretch. Your uniform is soaked, muscles scream, and even breathing feels labored. Yet, amid the exhaustion, you begin to notice subtle improvements. Your strikes are more precise, your blocks more confident, your movements more fluid. Fatigue, once a foe, becomes a teacher, revealing weaknesses and strengths alike. Each repetition reinforces the connection between mind and body, showing that mastery is forged not in comfort, but in the unyielding grind of relentless practice. By the end of the session, sweat, blood, and bruises cover the floor. Recruits collapse briefly to their knees, gasping for air. Yet there is pride in endurance, even in suffering. The senior samurai nod, acknowledging the effort and progress. The lesson of the relentless drill is clear: mastery and survival are earned through persistence, repetition, and a willingness to push beyond limits. As you rise, your limbs heavy, body aching, you understand that the life of a Sengoku samurai is unending trial. Even one day is sufficient to break the unprepared. Strength alone is meaningless without endurance, focus, and discipline. And as you grip your katana, feeling both pain and power, you recognize that survival is not merely about fighting, it is about enduring, adapting, and learning in every moment, no matter how relentless the challenge. After surviving the relentless drill, the senior samurai introduced the next trial, the weight of armor. Today, the focus is not just on skill or endurance, but on carrying and fighting while burdened by the heavy, restrictive armor of a Sengoku warrior. Many underestimate this challenge. Even a perfectly trained body falters when weighed down, and the armor exposes the limits of stamina, balance, and precision. You are fitted with a full set of armor, metal plates, leather straps, and protective padding. The weight immediately shifts your center of gravity. Movements that were natural moments ago now require careful thought. Every step is deliberate, every swing of the katana demands more energy. The instructors remind you that a samurai in battle does not have the luxury of comfort or freedom of motion. The armor protects, yes, but it also magnifies fatigue and error. Survival requires adaptation. The first exercise is basic footwork and stance drills while armored. At first, even simple motions feel cumbersome. Feet drag slightly, swings are slower, balance is precarious. You stumble once, and the senior samurai correct your posture sharply. Pain from yesterday's bruises is aggravated by the rigid plates pressing against your body. Yet, as repetitions continue, you begin to adjust, your knees bend differently, your grip tightens just so, your breath finds a rhythm that supports the extra weight. The armor becomes less of a hindrance and more of a tool, once you learn to move with it. Next, sparring while armored. Your partner, similarly encumbered, attacks with full effort. The added weight slows movements and delays reactions, but the stakes feel higher. Mistakes are magnified, a misjudged parry or delayed footwork can throw you off balance, leaving openings for a counterstrike. Each strike now requires not only precision but strength to overcome the inertia of the armor. Your muscles burn faster, your arms quiver, and your legs feel like lead, but you begin to feel a strange synergy between blade and body, armor and instinct. The instructors push further, combinations of attacks, sudden feints, and endurance sequences, all while maintaining proper form under the armor's strain. You realize that the weight is both physical and mental. Each movement demands focus, coordination, and awareness. Fatigue is relentless, but discipline must remain absolute. Armor does not forgive sloppiness, and in battle, no moment of hesitation is allowed. By the end of the session, every muscle aches, sweat and blood mix on your skin, and your uniform is pressed uncomfortably against bruises and scratches. Yet the experience has changed you. You understand that survival as a samurai is not merely about agility or strength, it is about adapting to constraints, mastering discomfort, and maintaining skill under every burden. The armor is both protector and teacher, forcing endurance, reinforcing posture, and sharpening awareness. As you remove the heavy plates and set them aside, the dojo feels lighter, but the lessons linger. Every movement, every swing, every moment of balance tested under strain has reinforced the truth of the Sengoku life: survival demands more than bravery. It demands adaptation, resilience, and mastery over the body in all conditions, even when weighed down by the armor meant to protect it. The morning begins with an unnerving intensity, facing the blade. Today, every recruit confronts the sharp edge of reality, the lethality of the katana in close combat. The senior samurai explain that skill with the sword is meaningless without understanding its danger, and even a minor lapse can be fatal. This lesson is not theoretical, it is visceral, immediate, and unforgiving. You are paired with an instructor wielding a sharpened practice blade, its edge designed to cut but controlled to minimize permanent injury. Your first step onto the sparring mat feels different, the blade in your hand seems lighter, almost lifeless, until you lock eyes with your opponent and feel its potential. Every movement is deliberate, every stance is calculated. The first strike comes swift and precise. You block instinctively, but the force reverberates through your arms, reminding you that even minor mistakes carry consequences. The drill escalates quickly. The instructor feints, thrusts, and circles, forcing you to read intentions rather than simply react. Each strike demands immediate judgment: block, parry, or evade. Hesitation is punished, overreaction is exploited. Sweat mixes with the sting of small cuts, and adrenaline courses through your veins. The katana, once merely a tool of training, becomes a tangible force of life and death. You realize that understanding the blade is understanding risk, precision, and timing. The instructors circulate, correcting grip, posture, and angle of attack. Even the smallest errors are addressed. A slight misalignment of the wrist, a delayed step, a misjudged distance, each could prove catastrophic in real combat. Your focus sharpens. Muscles scream, but your mind begins to move ahead of instinct, anticipating attacks and planning counters. Reflex and calculation merge. Survival depends not only on speed but on clarity and composure under pressure. Sparring continues in rapid sequences, each encounter more intense than the last. You feel fatigue clawing at every limb, but the blade demands attention that overrides exhaustion. Every successful block, every clean strike, reinforces awareness of both self and opponent. Mistakes leave marks, scratches, bruises, minor cuts, but each is a lesson that permanence is irrelevant compared to learning from error. The katana teaches respect, humility, and the precise balance between aggression and restraint. By the end of the session, your body trembles uncontrollably, your uniform clings with sweat, and your hands are raw from gripping the hilt. Yet there is exhilaration in exhaustion. You have faced the blade directly, felt its force, and survived. The instructors nod in approval, acknowledging not strength alone, but composure, focus, and the ability to endure under pressure. As you step away from the mat, catching your breath, a stark truth settles in: the life of a Sengoku samurai is not forgiving. One moment of hesitation, one lapse of awareness, and the consequences are immediate. The katana is both weapon and teacher, and mastery demands relentless practice, resilience, and unwavering discipline. Surviving even one day among these warriors is a testament to endurance, observation, and the slow forging of skill under relentless pressure. Following the intensity of facing the blade, the senior samurai introduce a subtler but equally essential lesson: the art of patience. Combat and survival are not always dictated by aggression. Sometimes, the ability to wait, observe, and choose the exact moment to act determines life or death. Today, you learn that mastery is not only in swift action, but in knowing when to hold still. The exercise begins quietly. Recruits are stationed in pairs, each facing one another with swords at the ready. No attacks are initially allowed. Instead, you must maintain stance, observe every micro-movement of your opponent, and anticipate their intentions. The silence is almost deafening. Every twitch, shift of weight, or subtle shift of the eyes becomes critical information. You realize that impatience can betray the slightest weakness, while a measured response can create opportunity. Hours stretch as the drill continues. You must hold your position while the instructor occasionally signals sudden feints or strikes, testing your focus and restraint. Each motion you resist making strengthens discipline and mental endurance. Your muscles ache, trembling under tension, yet your mind must remain fully alert. Even a minor lapse in attention results in a swift correction. Through this, you understand that patience is not passivity, it is controlled readiness, the ability to wait and react with precision at the exact right moment. The senior samurai speak sparingly, but their words carry weight. Rushing the strike is the mistake of the inexperienced, one instructs. A samurai's timing is everything. Speed without calculation is death. Patience creates openings, discipline sharpens judgment, and survival follows those who master both. Each strike you anticipate without action reinforces awareness, teaching that even the smallest delay, or the smallest measured pause, can dictate success or failure. Next, the exercise evolves into controlled sparring. You are allowed to strike, but only after recognizing a true opportunity. Hesitation is punished if it is indecision, aggression is punished if premature. You begin to feel the delicate balance between action and inaction. Your mind calculates while your body waits, muscles coiled, breath measured, eyes tracking every detail. The lesson is subtle but profound: patience magnifies power, transforms timing into a weapon, and ensures that every strike is meaningful. By the end of the session, exhaustion settles deep in your limbs, yet clarity fills your mind. You understand that the life of a Sengoku samurai is not just about movement and strength, it is about timing, observation, and choosing when to act. Patience is as dangerous and essential as the sharpest blade. Each moment of restraint teaches more than hours of reckless aggression. You have learned that surviving even a single day in this unforgiving world demands both action and deliberate inaction, mastered in perfect harmony. As the session concludes, the dojo feels heavier with meaning. The lessons of the past days, the relentless drills, the night guard, the weight of armor, the face of the blade, merge with this new understanding. Discipline, endurance, skill, and patience are threads woven into the fabric of survival. You realize that every second, every decision, and every moment of stillness carries weight. And in that weight lies mastery, however fragile, and the possibility of surviving another day among these warriors. After mastering patience, the senior samurai introduced the strategy of observation, a lesson emphasizing that survival depends as much on perception as on action. Even the sharpest blade is useless if your mind fails to read the battlefield. Today, you learn that awareness, analysis, and timing are as crucial as skill or strength. The recruits are positioned around the dojo, some seated, others standing, all observing a single instructor performing movements with a practiced sword. Initially, the motions appear simple, basic stances, slow swings, but subtle shifts hide potential strikes and feints. The challenge is to notice the details, anticipate the intention, and respond mentally before acting physically. Each student's eyes are trained to detect subtle signs: the angle of the shoulders, the grip on the sword, the direction of a glance. Small mistakes are corrected immediately. A student who fails to see a feint is reminded sharply: observation is survival. Blindness is death. You realize that the lesson extends beyond sparring, it is preparation for war. The smallest unnoticed motion on the battlefield could be the difference between life and death. Every twitch, pause, or hesitation by an opponent contains information, and only the disciplined observer survives long enough to exploit it. The exercise evolves into dynamic drills. Instructors execute rapid, unpredictable sequences while recruits must track movements without committing to a strike. Your body remains poised, feet planted, katana ready, but the focus is entirely mental. Observing without immediate action is more difficult than reacting. It forces your mind to separate instinct from discipline. One wrong preemptive strike is punished, teaching restraint and reinforcing awareness. Later, paired observation exercises begin. You face a partner performing both offensive and deceptive maneuvers. Your task is to detect patterns, anticipate attacks, and recognize feints, all without acting prematurely. Your eyes scan constantly, noting subtle weight shifts, shifts in breathing, and minute changes in posture. Mental fatigue presses in, yet observation sharpens with practice. Slowly, patterns emerge where there was once chaos. Your mind begins to map potential attacks, reactions, and outcomes before they occur. By the session's end, exhaustion is present, yet clarity prevails. You recognize that survival is not solely about brute force or speed, it is about knowing the environment, understanding opponents, and using awareness to dictate the pace of engagement. Even a single day among the Sengoku samurai demands that one sees the unseen, anticipates the unpredictable, and reacts with precision when opportunity arises. The senior samurai nod approvingly. The lesson is clear: a skilled observer can survive in situations that would overwhelm someone stronger or faster. Awareness is a weapon as sharp as any blade. Endurance and strength may keep the body alive, but strategy, perception, and keen observation ensure it stays that way. As you leave the dojo, a subtle but profound shift has occurred. You begin to see the battlefield, and the world, in a way that transcends immediate motion, timing, or reflex. Survival is a combination of all senses, honed through relentless practice and reflection. As your training deepens, the senior samurai introduced the burden of honor. In the Sengoku period, survival alone is not enough. One must fight, act, and endure according to a strict code. Honor shapes every decision, every action, and even the way one endures pain or fatigue. Today, you confront the invisible weight of expectation, loyalty, and personal integrity. The exercise begins with scenario drills designed to test decision-making under pressure. Each recruit is faced with a simulated battle situation where choices must balance survival and honor. Attack prematurely, and your actions are deemed reckless; hesitate, and cowardice is noted. Every decision is observed by the instructors, and each is dissected for adherence to discipline, respect, and composure. You quickly understand that honor is a constant, silent observer, demanding integrity even when no one is watching. Next comes endurance under scrutiny. You are paired with a partner and must execute continuous sparring while maintaining impeccable form and composure. Minor errors are noted, not just for technique, but for the intent behind them. A sloppy strike is more than a physical mistake, it is a reflection of focus, respect for the opponent, and commitment to the samurai way. You realize that honor permeates every action, it is inseparable from skill and discipline. The senior samurai emphasized that honor also governs restraint. Victory without respect, speed without awareness, or strength without control is meaningless. During drills, you are forced to balance aggression with discipline, ensuring that every movement is calculated, purposeful, and ethically grounded. Fatigue tempts shortcuts, yet honor demands patience and precision. You understand that true mastery is not measured by raw power but by the integrity of each decision, even under extreme stress. As the day progresses, reflection becomes part of the lesson. Recruits kneel silently, reviewing actions, choices, and errors. You recall moments where hesitation or misjudgment could have been fatal. Yet, even within mistakes, lessons are drawn: courage tempered with awareness, strength tempered with respect, and endurance tempered with patience. The burden of honor is not punishment, it is guidance, a framework within which survival is meaningful and life's trials are measured. By evening, exhaustion mingles with clarity. You feel the subtle weight of expectation in every movement and choice, both on the training floor and in reflection. Honor is not optional, it is a constant companion, shaping perception, focus, and behavior. Even a single day in the life of a Sengoku warrior impresses this truth: survival alone is hollow without discipline, integrity, and the deliberate pursuit of honorable action. As night falls, you feel the dual burden of fatigue and awareness. Every scar, bruise, and ache is a testament to endurance, every choice, every observed motion is a measure of character. The life of a samurai demands both skill and virtue, and even one day among these warriors impresses upon you the profound weight of honor, a silent force as unyielding as the blade itself. As night descends, the day's brutal training concludes with a ritual known as the Feast of Reflection. It is not a celebration, nor a simple meal, but a moment to internalize lessons, endure fatigue, and reflect on survival, honor, and discipline. Even in this brief respite, the life of a Sengoku warrior teaches vigilance and awareness. The recruits gather in a low hall, sitting cross-legged on tatami mats. The food is simple: rice, dried fish, and miso, but every bite is deliberate. The senior samurai remind you that consumption, like combat, is an exercise in discipline. Each chew, each swallow, is measured and controlled. There is no rush, no distraction, no indulgence. Eating becomes a lesson in focus and restraint, reinforcing the mental fortitude required to endure hardship. Conversations are minimal. Instead, your attention is directed inward. Thoughts of the day's trials, the relentless drills, night guard, and the weight of armor swirl in your mind. Each success and failure is dissected mentally. How did reflexes hold under pressure? Where did hesitation creep in? Did patience and observation guide decisions effectively? Even a single misstep is analyzed, not for punishment, but for growth. The senior samurai occasionally speak, their words deliberate and resonant. The body survives through strength, one intones, but the mind masters survival through reflection. Every wound, every bruise, every decision carries meaning. Endurance is physical, wisdom is cultivated in thought. The lesson is clear: survival is a combination of action and contemplation. Physical skill alone is insufficient without reflection and understanding. As you eat slowly, fatigue weighs heavily, yet your mind becomes clearer. The chaos of the dojo and the intensity of combat fade slightly, replaced by introspection. You begin to see patterns in your own behavior, habits of mind, and tendencies under stress. Awareness deepens. Lessons learned through struggle are reinforced through consideration and deliberate thought. Even rest becomes a tool for growth, sharpening understanding and fortifying resilience. The feast concludes in silence. Bowing to the instructors and fellow recruits, you feel a sense of connection to the life of the warrior, an understanding that every moment, every challenge, and every reflection contributes to survival. You are reminded that even in times of stillness and nourishment, the principles of discipline, observation, endurance, and honor must remain present. As you leave the hall and prepare for sleep, the weight of the day lingers, not just in your body, but in your mind. The lessons of survival, the demands of honor, and the relentless pursuit of mastery settle deep within. You realize that living among the Sengoku samurai is a constant interplay of action, awareness, and reflection. Even one day requires more than courage, it requires continuous vigilance, thoughtful consideration, and the acceptance that growth comes through endurance, struggle, and the discipline to learn from every experience. As dawn breaks, the cycle begins anew with the morning drill revisited. After days of relentless training, observation, and reflection, the senior samurai test whether endurance, discipline, and skill have begun to coalesce. This session is designed to push recruits to recognize improvement, or expose lingering weaknesses. You rise stiff and sore, muscles aching from yesterday's feast of reflection and prior exertions. Yet, there is no time for complaint. The dojo awaits. You line up alongside your fellow recruits, eyes forward, gripping your katana with careful precision. The senior samurai observe silently, as they have countless times before, their presence a constant reminder that mistakes are visible, even when unspoken. The drill begins with repetitive strikes and footwork sequences, familiar yet intensified. The senior samurai increase speed, introducing more complex patterns and unpredictable sequences. You notice subtle differences from previous days, your movements feel slightly more fluid, footwork more balanced, and breath controlled even under the strain. Reflexes sharpen, though fatigue tugs at every limb. Every swing, block, and step now requires focus, not merely rote repetition. Next comes paired exercises. You face a partner, both of you slightly fatigued but aware that survival depends on consistent performance. The patterns of attack and defense escalate. Your partner feints, thrusts, and pivots unpredictably. The lessons of patience, observation, and reflexes merge with endurance and the burden of armor. Mistakes are punished, yet now you find yourself correcting mid-action, adapting instinctively without hesitation. The cumulative training is revealing itself, body, mind, and discipline are beginning to align. The senior samurai introduce a final challenge for the morning, multi-directional assault. Multiple instructors strike from various angles, requiring rapid decisions and flawless execution. The weight of the katana, your own fatigue, and the constant demand for awareness push you to the limit. Sweat, minor cuts, and bruises are reminders of vulnerability, but also of resilience. Each successful deflection, each precise counter, strengthens confidence and reinforces lessons learned over days of grueling practice. By the end of the drill, exhaustion is overwhelming, but there is a sense of achievement. Where once movement was hesitant and clumsy under pressure, it is now deliberate and controlled. The synergy of past lessons, patience, observation, endurance, honor, manifests in performance. The senior samurai nod in approval, not for strength alone, but for composure, adaptability, and the beginning of mastery. As the morning sun rises fully, the dojo is silent but charged with energy. The morning drill, revisited, is a testament to progression. Survival among the Sengoku samurai requires more than courage or strength. It demands integration of skill, discipline, awareness, and reflection. Even a single day teaches that mastery is a process, forged through repetition, struggle, and relentless attention to detail. Today, you are one step closer to understanding the life of a warrior, and the harsh reality that surviving among them is an unending challenge. After the grueling morning drill, the senior samurai gather the recruits for the tactical lesson. This is less about physical endurance and more about understanding strategy, anticipation, and the interplay between observation, decision-making, and action. Survival is not only a matter of reflex, it requires understanding the battlefield, predicting movements, and exploiting openings before they are apparent. The lesson begins with a simple setup, a mock skirmish on the dojo floor. Recruits are divided into small groups, each representing either attackers or defenders. The goal is not to defeat the opponent through sheer force, but to recognize patterns, control space, and capitalize on timing and positioning. The instructors emphasize that even the strongest warrior is vulnerable if they misread the situation. Awareness and strategy can overcome brute strength. You find yourself in a defensive position. The opposing group advances with coordinated attacks. Your body reacts instinctively at first, but the senior samurai urge observation before action. Each step, feint, and stance of the attackers is information. You learn to anticipate, to predict, and to create openings rather than relying solely on raw speed or power. One misstep or rash reaction could be exploited immediately. The drills grow progressively complex. Multiple attackers, feints, sudden shifts in direction, and unexpected retreats force you to integrate lessons from previous days. The weight of armor, the discipline of patience, the focus honed during the night guard, and the keen observation skills all come into play. Survival is about harmony between mind and body, action and reflection, instinct and strategy. Every move is calculated, every strike purposeful. The senior samurai intervene occasionally, demonstrating tactical principles, controlling angles, managing distance, exploiting the opponent's momentum, and maintaining composure under pressure. You realize that every detail, no matter how small, can determine the outcome. Timing is not merely a matter of reflex, it is a product of careful observation, mental calculation, and practiced execution. By the end of the session, fatigue is overwhelming, yet the clarity of understanding is profound. You begin to grasp that survival among the Sengoku warriors is not random chaos, it is structured, disciplined, and strategic. Even a single day teaches that strength alone cannot ensure safety, awareness, patience, reflection, and tactical acumen are equally crucial. As the recruits kneel to conclude the lesson, the senior samurai offer a final remark: a warrior who understands strategy sees the battlefield before it unfolds. Survival comes to those who think, observe, and act with precision. Reflex without understanding is death, understanding without action is useless. Combine both, and you may endure. Walking from the dojo, exhausted but enlightened, you reflect on the brutal truth: the Sengoku era is unforgiving. Every skill learned, every lesson endured, every moment observed contributes to survival. Strength is necessary, but wisdom, patience, and strategy are what allow even the strongest to persist. Even a single day among these warriors is enough to reveal that life here demands mastery over every facet of body, mind, and spirit. The afternoon brings the most intense test yet: the fire of combat. After days of drills, observation, and reflection, you are finally immersed in an exercise that simulates the chaos, adrenaline, and danger of real battle. Here, endurance, skill, and mental fortitude are pushed to their limits, and even minor lapses carry immediate consequences. The dojo is divided into a mock battlefield. Smoke wafts through the air, the sounds of wooden swords clashing echo around the hall, and instructors move unpredictably among the recruits. You are no longer practicing isolated movements, every action, every strike, and every defensive maneuver occurs in the context of a dynamic, unpredictable environment. Reflexes are tested, strategy is challenged, and awareness is paramount. You face multiple opponents simultaneously. Attacks come from angles you did not anticipate, forcing rapid adjustment. The weight of armor and exhaustion from previous drills magnify every strike and step. Each block requires precision, each counterstrike demands awareness, and every movement is a calculation. Panic is a silent enemy, composure becomes your greatest weapon. In the chaos, small lessons from earlier sessions resurface. Patience learned in silent observation allows you to anticipate feints. Timing honed during the morning drill lets you strike at the right moment. The endurance built through relentless repetition keeps your limbs moving despite pain. Even the burden of honor reminds you to act with respect and discipline, preventing rash mistakes that could be exploited. The senior samurai move among the recruits, observing, occasionally correcting, but mostly allowing the battle to unfold. Their presence is both a pressure and a guide. One misstep, a delayed parry, a misjudged distance, or an impulsive strike, is noticed and corrected. Yet every successful block and calculated attack reinforces your growing mastery of chaos, showing that survival depends not just on strength, but on control, perception, and adaptability. As the exercise reaches its peak, exhaustion grips every recruit. Breathing is labored, muscles scream, and vision blurs slightly from sweat and adrenaline. Yet you continue, learning to push beyond instinctual fatigue, relying on mental resilience as much as physical capacity. Each strike you land, each feint you read, each maneuver you execute under pressure reinforces the essential truth: survival requires integration of all lessons: discipline, patience, observation, endurance, honor, and strategy. When the instructors finally call the exercise to an end, the hall is filled with the heavy silence of exhausted warriors. Bruises, cuts, and sweat-stained uniforms attest to the intensity endured. Yet within that exhaustion lies achievement. You have faced simulated chaos, integrated lessons from days of grueling training, and survived. The fire of combat, though simulated, leaves an indelible mark, teaching that the life of a Sengoku samurai is unrelenting, unpredictable, and merciless. As you kneel to conclude, the lesson is clear: strength and skill alone do not guarantee survival. Endurance, awareness, reflection, and disciplined action in the face of chaos are what determine who lives, who learns, and who perishes. Even a single day among these warriors exposes the truth: the fire of combat tests every facet of body, mind, and spirit. Only those who integrate all lessons can hope to endure. After surviving the intensity of the fire of combat, the senior samurai lead the recruits into a period known as lessons in silence. Unlike drills, sparring, or simulated battle, this session tests mental endurance, focus, and the subtle strength of observation. Silence becomes a tool for reflection, a measure of discipline, and a crucible for understanding the unspoken rules of survival. The recruits sit cross-legged on the dojo floor, eyes forward, hands resting lightly on their katana. No instructions are given beyond maintaining posture, stillness, and attention. At first, the silence feels unnatural. Thoughts race, memories of yesterday's combat, the strain of the morning drill, the weight of armor, and fear of failure intrude. Your mind, accustomed to constant activity, struggles to find calm. Yet the purpose is clear: mastery requires not only action but the ability to still the mind and focus completely, even in discomfort. The senior samurai moves silently among the recruits, observing posture, breathing, and subtle tension. A twitch of a hand, a shift of the shoulders, or an uneven breath is noted. Corrections are minimal but exacting. The lesson is brutal in its subtlety: survival is not only about reacting to attacks or enduring pain, but also maintaining awareness, composure, and readiness even when seemingly inactive. Every instant of stillness is training for life and death attention. Hours stretch slowly. The body aches, the mind strains, yet focus must remain unwavering. Fatigue tempts distraction, the instinct to move, fidget, or relax grows stronger with each passing moment. Yet with every resisted impulse, your concentration sharpens. Awareness extends beyond self: subtle shifts in light, distant sounds, and the faintest movements of instructors become noticeable. The silence teaches that observation is not passive, it is active, requiring patience, discipline, and mental control. Later, brief exercises are introduced without breaking the silence. A sudden feint, a drop of the sword, or a simulated attack forces instant, controlled reaction without noise or unnecessary movement. The mind, trained in anticipation and reflection, guides the body with precision. Every movement is deliberate, every response measured, every action a lesson in efficiency and composure. You begin to understand that the true danger in battle is often invisible: decisions made too early, too late, or without full awareness can be fatal. By the end of the session, exhaustion is complete, yet clarity emerges. You recognize that the lessons in silence are as crucial as those of the blade or armor. Mental discipline, focus, and awareness under stillness are the unseen pillars of survival. Even one day among these warriors teaches that mastery is forged not only through action, but through observation, patience, and the ability to control oneself when no one is watching. As the session concludes, the senior samurai nod in quiet approval. You leave the dojo physically drained but mentally sharpened. The lessons of silence have reinforced every other skill: patience, strategy, endurance, and honor. Survival among the Sengoku samurai is relentless, demanding not only strength and skill but also the subtle mastery of mind, perception, and inner composure. After days of relentless training, observation, and reflection, you are now faced with the final test. This is the culmination of everything learned: the drills, the night guard, the weight of armor, the patience, observation, and lessons in silence. The instructors make it clear: surviving this day requires integration of all skills, mental acuity, and unwavering focus. There is no margin for error. The dojo transforms into a mock battlefield. Smoke fills the air, shadows shift with the early evening light, and instructors move unpredictably among the recruits. You must navigate attacks from multiple directions, anticipate feints, defend with precision, and strike only when opportunity presents itself. The exercise is brutal, exhausting both body and mind, simulating the chaos of real Sengoku warfare. The first wave of attackers tests endurance. You parry, dodge, and strike, feeling the weight of your armor and the strain of fatigue in every muscle. Each movement demands perfect timing, hesitation could mean being overpowered. You recall the lessons of patience and observation, using them to anticipate attacks rather than merely reacting. Each decision becomes a calculation, balancing aggression with restraint, strength with strategy. Next comes the coordination test. You face multiple opponents simultaneously, each attacking from a different angle. Reflexes are crucial, but strategy and awareness are equally important. You draw upon the mental discipline honed in the lessons of silence, the focus learned during the night guard, and the endurance built through relentless drills. The combination allows you to respond effectively despite exhaustion. Every block, every strike, every pivot demonstrates the integration of all lessons learned. The final stage of the test is reflection under duress. The instructors pause the assault briefly, and you must assess the battlefield, anticipate potential attacks, and maintain composure while fatigued. This is more than physical training, it is mental mastery. A true samurai survives not only by reacting but by controlling fear, analyzing the environment, and making precise decisions under extreme pressure. By the conclusion of the test, every recruit is exhausted, covered in sweat and minor bruises, yet there is a sense of accomplishment. The final test proves one thing: survival among the Sengoku samurai is not determined by strength alone. Endurance, observation, patience, strategy, honor, and mental discipline are equally vital. Even a single day in this environment reveals the harsh truth: the life of a samurai is unrelenting, demanding mastery over body, mind, and spirit. As the instructors step back, nodding in solemn approval, you realize the transformation that has occurred. Each scar, bruise, and drop of sweat tells a story of endurance, skill, and learning. The final test is not merely an exercise, it is a lesson in what it truly means to survive among warriors trained in the unforgiving crucible of Sengoku Japan. After surviving the final test, the day concludes with a moment of profound introspection, the reflection of the warrior. This is a time to internalize the lessons learned, acknowledge weaknesses, and recognize growth. The Sengoku samurai life is relentless, but even in exhaustion, there is space for understanding and personal insight. Recruits sit in silence along the edge of the dojo, eyes focused on their own hands or the floor, each immersed in private reflection. The senior samurai remain nearby, observing quietly. There is no conversation, only contemplation. You replay the day in your mind, the relentless drills, the weight of armor, the face of the blade, the strategic lessons, and the simulated chaos of battle. Every strike, block, and decision is analyzed. The process is humbling. You recognize mistakes, lapses in focus, and moments when hesitation could have been fatal. Yet you also see progress, the subtle integration of skill, observation, endurance, and patience. The mental discipline learned through silence and reflection has sharpened your awareness. The physical conditioning and repeated drills have made your movements more fluid and precise. Even the burden of honor has shaped your choices, reinforcing integrity in every action. The senior samurai offer minimal words, allowing the silence to guide understanding. A warrior who does not reflect is a warrior who cannot survive, one says quietly. The body learns through action, but the mind learns through thought. Both are required. Strength without understanding is folly, awareness without action is wasted potential. You internalize this, realizing that true mastery is not only about surviving battles but also about learning from each moment, integrating experience, and preparing for the next challenge. As the evening progresses, the reflection deepens. You consider the future, not just the next day of training, but the possibility of real combat, real responsibility, and real consequences. Each lesson is a thread woven into a larger understanding: survival is multifaceted, combining endurance, skill, strategy, awareness, patience, and honor. Every trial endured, every observation made, every moment of controlled restraint contributes to the capacity to endure and succeed. By the time the reflection concludes, a quiet resolve settles within you. Physical exhaustion remains, but the mind feels sharper, more aware, and more disciplined. Even a single day among the Sengoku samurai has revealed truths that are both daunting and enlightening. Mastery is forged through relentless effort, observation, and reflection. The life of a warrior is unyielding, but understanding its demands is the first step toward surviving it. As you rise and prepare for rest, the weight of the lesson stays with you, heavier than armor but more enduring. You know that tomorrow, the cycle will begin again, another test, another chance to grow, and another opportunity to prove that even under the unforgiving code of the Sengoku samurai, survival is possible with skill, discipline, and awareness. As darkness settles once more, the senior samurai lead the recruits into a familiar yet intensified exercise, the Night Guard Revisited. After days of grueling training, combat simulations, and reflection, this exercise tests not just endurance and skill, but the cumulative mental fortitude developed over the course of training. The night is cold, shadows stretch across the dojo, and the weight of expectation presses down on every recruit. Armed with only a katana and the lessons learned, you take your position. The tasks are familiar: silent patrols, vigilance, and readiness for sudden attacks. But tonight, the senior samurai introduce unpredictability. Shadows shift unexpectedly, instructors strike without warning, and subtle cues must be recognized immediately. Any lapse in attention is punished, not harshly, but unmistakably. You quickly realize that survival depends on the integration of every skill learned: endurance, patience, observation, strategy, and honor. The patrol begins slowly, each footstep deliberate. The chill of night and the weight of exhaustion amplify the difficulty. Your senses strain to detect movement, sound, or subtle shifts in the environment. The lessons of observation from previous days prove invaluable: every shadow and motion must be evaluated. Reflexes honed through relentless drills allow rapid response, but only combined with awareness can you act effectively. Suddenly, multiple simulated attacks erupt simultaneously. You parry, dodge, and counter, each action requiring split-second calculation. Fatigue threatens to slow your movements, yet discipline keeps your strikes precise. Armor, once cumbersome, now feels like an extension of your body. The weight is familiar, the grip of the katana instinctive. Every skill, physical, mental, and strategic, is tested in this orchestrated chaos. The night stretches long. Hours pass, punctuated by brief moments of stillness where vigilance is as important as movement. During these moments, you reflect silently: mistakes made, lessons learned, and the integration of experience. The senior samurai's silent observation reinforces awareness. They require that even in relative stillness, readiness never falters. The Night Guard teaches that survival is not only about strength, speed, or reflex, it is about consistent, disciplined awareness maintained under pressure and fatigue. By the time the exercise concludes, your body is battered, muscles screaming, and uniforms soaked with sweat. Yet the mind is sharp, and confidence tempered by humility fills you. The Night Guard Revisited is more than endurance. It is a culmination of everything learned: patience, observation, strategic thinking, honor, and the ability to act decisively under extreme conditions. Surviving even a single night here confirms that the life of a Sengoku samurai demands the relentless integration of mind, body, and spirit. As dawn approaches, the dojo quiets. The lessons of the night settle into memory, reinforcing every prior experience. You understand now that survival is earned, not given. Mastery requires vigilance, discipline, and continual reflection. Even one day and one night among these warriors has revealed the unyielding rigor of their existence and the relentless demands of life in Sengoku Japan. As the first light of dawn filters through the dojo's paper screens, you stand silently, reflecting on the culmination of days spent among the Sengoku samurai. The dawn of understanding is not a drill, a test, or a battle. It is the quiet acknowledgement of everything you have endured and absorbed. The sun rises, illuminating bruises, sweat-stained armor, and the subtle marks of discipline etched into your body and mind. The night guard, the relentless morning drills, the weight of armor, the fire of combat, the lessons in silence, and the burden of honor, all converge into a singular clarity. You realize that survival here is not merely about strength, speed, or skill with a sword. It is about awareness, strategy, patience, endurance, and discipline, combined with the constant vigilance of mind and body. The life of a Sengoku samurai is unyielding, and even one day reveals the depth of its demands. You recall the early struggles, missteps in footwork, hesitation in the face of attack, fatigue that nearly overcame resolve. Each failure was harsh but instructive, shaping awareness and resilience. Each lesson in patience, observation, or honor gradually refined instincts, aligning body and mind to meet the unforgiving standards of the warrior's way. Strength alone would not have sufficed, survival required integration of every skill learned, every insight gained, and every moment of focus maintained under pressure. The senior samurai observe quietly, offering no words. Their presence reminds you that recognition is earned, not given. The journey of mastery is continuous. One day, even survived fully, is only the beginning. Yet, as you feel the morning air fill your lungs, a sense of accomplishment rises. You have endured, adapted, and integrated lessons that most cannot grasp even after a lifetime of training. The day has forged understanding that cannot be undone. Looking out across the quiet dojo, you reflect on the paradox of the Sengoku life. It is merciless and relentless, yet structured by discipline, honor, and practice. Every strike, every moment of stillness, every observation and decision carries weight. Even the smallest lapse can be fatal, and yet, through relentless effort, endurance, and focus, one can survive, adapt, and grow stronger. The dawn brings not only light, but comprehension. Mastery is never complete, but awareness and discipline create the possibility of survival. As you lower your katana and bow deeply to the senior samurai, a profound truth settles within. Life among the Sengoku warriors is not for the faint of heart, the impatient, or the unobservant. It demands constant vigilance, resilience, and integration of mind, body, and spirit. Even a single day teaches more than any tale or instruction could convey. You have glimpsed the reality of this world, the rigorous, unforgiving, and exacting life of a samurai, and survived to see its lessons crystallized in the light of dawn. The experience leaves you changed. Bruises fade, armor is removed, but understanding endures. Survival is a synthesis of skill, patience, honor, and reflection. The Sengoku world is merciless, yet through discipline and mastery, endurance is possible. The dawn is not just a new day, it is the recognition that, even in the harshest of worlds, wisdom, focus, and courage define the line between life and death.